All right, the first college football playoff rankings of the year are set to come out on Tuesday, November 4th. So we are going to get into my rankings projection and the projected initial bracket. Obviously, we've got a long way to go, still got about a month until the regular season ends. I'm Harrison Graham. This is Forverts and Chat Sports, as this video is going on both channels. Some notable results from Saturday's action. Texas with a huge win over Vanderbilt, 34-31. Both those teams with 2 losses now, so both firmly alive. Both probably need to win out to make the CFP. Oklahoma beat Tennessee 33-27. Tennessee with 3 losses now. Uphill battle for them. OU still with 2. NC State with the upset over Georgia Tech. 48-36. Number 10 Miami upset by SMU 26-20. Not a good day for the ACC, especially if they're looking to get multiple college football playoff teams just like they did last year. And then Utah stomps Cincinnati 45-14. Both those teams have 2 losses on the year now. Reminder, Tuesday, November 4th, the first college football playoff rankings will be released at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We will be live on Chat Sports breaking that all down. I believe it'll be myself and Joey Peterson, and we'll have full coverage here on Forverts as well. And speaking of Forverts, speaking of Chat Sports, little subscriber battle. This video is going on both channels. Forverts, which is my personal football channel here at Chat Sports. We cover the NFL, we cover college football, and then, of course, our main Chat Sports YouTube channel as well. Which channel gets more subscribers? I am challenging you. Let's make it a subscriber battle. If you want free and daily football content on both channels, hit that subscribe button. All right, we'll get into my projected CFP rankings now. We'll get to the bracket here in a little bit. I got the Washington Huskies at number 25, 6-2 on the year. They've basically beaten who they are supposed to, and the 2 really good teams they've played, they've lost. 6-2, I've got them at 25. Tennessee at 24 at 6-3. Their path to the CFP is a narrow one now, but in this 12-team system, a 3-loss team at some point will get in. Alabama almost did it last year. If Tennessee wins out, gets some help, maybe they could crawl their way back into it. Memphis is my highest ranked non-group or my highest ranked non-Power 4 team. As of right now, I think they are the front runner to earn the group of 6 spot in the CFP. They're 8-1 on the year. Iowa, I've got them in the rankings at number 22. They're quietly just kind of plugging along. Big game as they host Oregon this Saturday. They pull off that upset, they enter the college football playoff picture. The Michigan Wolverines at 21, they're not overly impressive, but they are 7-2. They have a couple decent wins on their resume. We'll see if they can win out. Obviously, they'd have to beat Ohio State to get into the CFP, which they've done 4 years in a row. USC, who has the head-to-head over Michigan, I've got them at 6-2. Clutch comeback win over Nebraska yesterday to keep their playoff hopes alive. Utah at 7-2. Like I said, the big win over Cincinnati. I think they've kind of re-entered the playoff mix along with BYU and Texas Tech in the Big 12. Those are kind of the 3 teams to watch in that conference right now. Miami tumbles to number 18. They're going to have to win out and get some help if they're going to make the college football playoff. Once again, a Mario Cristobal team disappointing despite having an excellent roster. Number 17, it's the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at 8-1. Tough loss to NC State yesterday. Still a path, though, if they win out. Probably a playoff team. They get to play Georgia in their season finale. We'll see if they can pull off that upset there. Missouri at 6-2 coming off their bye week. Again, if you're an SEC or a Big Ten team, if you only have 2 losses, you are firmly alive in the CFP. So everything is ahead of Eli Drinkwitz's team in terms of their goals. Okay, we are sponsored by PrizePicks. Appreciate everybody who checks out the best daily fantasy sports book. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's very easy to navigate the PrizePicks app as you can toggle by sports and then specific stats as you start to make your lineups by sorting through the players you want to choose. All sports are available. You just pick 2 or more players, up to 6-player lineups, and take more or less on their stat projections. And if you hit, you can win money. On PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose FlexPlay, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter how you play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. PrizePicks also offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks won't count it as a loss. Check out PrizePicks today. Download the PrizePicks app. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. That link and promo code are in the comments and in the description. All right, at number 15, Louisville. Yes, Louisville beat Miami head-to-head a couple of weeks ago, 7-1 on the season. Jeff Brom continues to be perhaps the most underrated coach in college football. At number 14, Vanderbilt. Tough loss in Austin, but their goal is still ahead of them. They'll have a big game against Tennessee here in a few weeks, 7-2. They get to 10-2, they'll be a playoff team. Same with Oklahoma at 7-2. At number 13 in my projected rankings. Bizarre win over Tennessee. They got outgained like 395 to 160, but Tennessee had about 8 self-inflicted errors that cost them that game. Big win for Brent Venables' group on the road. Number 12, Texas. Yes, I've got them pretty high up here. Why? Well, they beat Oklahoma head-to-head. They beat Vanderbilt head-to-head. One of their 2 losses is by a touchdown against maybe the number 1 team in the country in Ohio State. It hasn't always been pretty. It hasn't always been perfect, but they have found a way to win some close games, and now they have a bye week. Then they go to Georgia, a massive opportunity for Steve Sarkisian's group in 2 weeks. And don't look now, Arch Manning played some pretty good ball this past week against Vandy. How about the Virginia Cavaliers? One of the best stories in college football. Tony Elliott's team is 8-1. Chandler Morris, the 6-year senior, he's at his 4th college. Could he lead the Cavs to the college football playoff? They have 3 very winnable games coming up. Their toughest game left is at Duke. If they win out and win the ACC championship game, which I believe they control their destiny to getting to, they will be in the CFP. Who will win the ACC? Will it be Virginia, Georgia Tech? Can Miami get back into the mix? Kind of a disappointing weekend for that conference with Miami and Georgia Tech going down, but still a handful of teams in the mix. SMU still alive as well. Let us know who you guys think it'll be. Notre Dame at number 10, kind of a wonky game against Boston College. Did not play their best, but their 2 losses are to Miami, which that one's starting to not look as good as it once did, but their other one by 1 point to Texas A&M. I think it's very simple for Notre Dame. If they went out and go 10-2, they're in the playoff. If they lose a single time, they will not get in. So win and get in, lose once, and they're out. Number 9, the Texas Tech Red Raiders at 8-1. They're having a big-time season. As they had a nice one in Manhattan against Kansas State yesterday. They now host BYU, who I have at number 8, 8-0, a pair of top 10 teams in the Big 12. College game day this weekend. The winner of that game is in the driver's seat, not only in the Big 12, but to get a college football playoff berth. At number 7, the Oregon Ducks. I like this team, but you look at their resume, and it's not really there. You know, at the time, the Penn State win felt significant, and you don't want to take that away from them, but Penn State has been a disaster since. They fired James Franklin, Drew Allers out for the year. They have not won a game since that game. So they play at Iowa this week, and that'll be a nice chance to get a good win on the road. But in comparison to some of the one-loss teams we're about to get to, I just don't think the resume stacks up. Like Ole Miss, for example, more quality wins. Their one loss, a tight one to Georgia a few weeks ago. Lane Kiffin's crew is chugging along despite him being connected to a lot of these head coach openings. Top 5, Georgia, they got the head-to-head over Ole Miss, so they get the nod here. They are at number 5. Another nice win yesterday. Gunnar Stockton's having a good year. This isn't like a vintage Kirby Smart defense, but they're also better offensively than they've been, so they're right there in the mix once again. Alabama did beat Georgia head-to-head, so they get the nod here as well as they sit at number 4. Ty Simpson's a Heisman candidate. The Bama defense is starting to play a little bit better. Kalen DeBoer has kind of calmed things down after they lost that season opener to Florida State, which feels impossible looking back at it. At number 3 is we have the 3 unbeatens remaining. You know, I debated 2 and 3 based on resume, because you could argue Texas A&M actually has a better resume than Ohio State, but I got the Aggies at 3. I think the Buckeyes just have less weaknesses, less holes on their team. I think I would pick them on a neutral field, so that's why I give them the slight advantage here. But I actually think A&M, especially with that non-conference win over Notre Dame, has the edge. And then I think Indiana's got a better resume than Ohio State. They have more quality wins. They beat Oregon on the road, which is very impressive. In this committee, and again, I'm projecting what I think the committee will do, they often value, especially early on in these rankings, the resume. Ohio State, their best win was back in week 1 against Texas. Nice win, but I think Indiana has done more up to this point. And I think something to keep in mind, too, they're crushing all their opponents. Their only close game is Iowa, which I have them in my projected top 25. So I've got Indiana slightly ahead of Ohio State and A&M, but you can make arguments for all three of these teams to be number 1. Who do you guys think should be number 1? If you think it's Indiana, type IND. If you think it's Ohio State, type OSU. Texas A&M, type TXAM. I think this will be the top 3. It just comes down to what the order is going to be. So this is my projected bracket. Remember, this year, it's not based on the conference champs who get the top 4 seeds. It's just based on raw rankings. Now, it is still the top 5 ranked conference champions do get an automatic berth. So in this case, Memphis gets the number 12 seed because they are the highest ranked, 5th projected conference champion coming out of the American. So that would knock Texas out as of now. But these are the matches. BYU, Texas Tech, ironically, play this weekend. Obviously, you got Georgia, Memphis there. That could be a bloodbath. Oregon, Notre Dame in the 7-10 game. That's a pretty fun one. And then Ole Miss, Virginia. And then, obviously, Indiana, Alabama, Ohio State, Texas A&M. They are the top 4 seeds. They would get a first-round bye based on how the rankings sit currently right now. All right, some big games for Week 11, then we'll get out of here. I mentioned College Game Day, BYU, Texas Tech. These are based on the rankings from last week. I'm filming this before, obviously, the CFP rankings come out, or even the AP poll here on Sunday. So BYU, Texas Tech, probably a top 10 matchup once the rankings are finalized. Texas A&M at Missouri, probably an elimination game for Mizzou, so they need to get this one. And if they do, they're firmly in the mix. Oregon at Iowa. If Iowa wins, they enter the mix. LSU at Alabama. I don't think there's a path for LSU, but still a big matchup for the Crimson Tide. And then Navy at Notre Dame. Navy suffered their first loss yesterday. They've been in that group of 5, group of 6 mix. They beat Notre Dame, they can re-enter that pretty quickly. So big matchup for both those teams. And as we mentioned earlier, the Fighting Irish need to win out to make the college football playoff. All right, there you have it, my projected college football rankings. Be sure to subscribe both on Forverts and at Chat Sports. Let's see which channel gets more subs, and we'll be live Tuesday night on Chat Sports breaking down the initial 2025 CFP rankings. So hopefully you'll join us for that. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon.